Welcome to iC3D training video Shrink and Shrink Undistort. In this example, we're going to wrap shrink film around multiple items and then compensate for the subsequent distortion of the artwork. We will start with a single item, in this case a can of beans. We can replicate the can using the duplicate model function, in this case producing a 2x2 pack. We will move the labels around a little to make it look more like a realistic package. Select all the cans in the object editor and drag the shrink film in over the top of them. This will open the shrink template window. The default is a vertical wrap, so we will change that to a horizontal wrap. If the artwork is already prepared, you can start by specifying the cut length, lay flat, offset, and overlap dimensions, etc. in the Advanced Setup window. In this case, we don't know the artwork size, so we can input values in Basic Setup to create an artboard to fit the model. We will set a 50 mm overlap, and we can adjust the position of the overlap in real time in the image. In the Substrate window, we need to set the default horizontal shrink wrap material. We need to specify the shrink percentage of the bias between the cut length and the lay flat length to suit. Here, you would input the values that you know from your particular shrink film characteristics in order to achieve the desired result. All the values can be saved and used again in the Substrate editor here. Click on the Start Simulation button. This starts the shrink process. It's important to note that the simulation will continue until you press Stop Simulation. You stop the process when you reach the desired shrink amount that simulates the real-life physical shrink film appearance. If you're not happy with the process because perhaps the settings for the shrink parameters were incorrect, you can stop the simulation, then click the Undo button, enter the new values, and start the simulation again. We are checking to see and make sure that the shrink process is uniform and, for example, is flat on the end parts of the shrink film. Once the process is finished, click Stop Simulation and then add the model to the scene. The shrink film layer then appears as a new material in the Material Editor, and its texture, color, transparency, etc. can be changed to suit. We then link to Illustrator, and all the model templates, i.e. the 4 bean cans, plus the shrink layer, will be imported. The final one is the shrink layer, on which we can place the artwork and then update iC3D. We can see that we have gross distortion of the artwork, caused by the shrink process. We will now go back into Illustrator and select the part of the artwork we need to correct for distortion. Select Object, Envelope to Distort, Make with Mesh, and choose 10 rows and 10 columns. You can choose any number of rows and columns, but we find that 10 by 10 is most suitable. Click OK and select Front View in the Extended Warp Mesh Options window, and click Apply. Illustrator then picks up the distortion information from iC3D. And when we update now, we see that the artwork has been correctly distorted. Note that any bitmap images must be embedded in the file in order to be processed correctly. Now we can repeat the process for the iC3D Beans label for, again, the correct distortion calculation. We have selected Front View in the Extended Mesh Options window because the artwork elements we chose were entirely visible in a single side view of the object. In the case where the artwork goes around the corner of the object, we use a slightly different technique. To show this, we will move one element of the artwork so that it wraps around a corner. We will undo the distortion correction on the label, and when we update iC3D, we can see that it's completely wrong. Because we corrected this with Front View Mesh, the portion of the label that goes around the edge has been clipped. So back to Illustrator, and we'll use the same process as before. But instead of choosing Front View, we select Bidirectional Step. When we update iC3D, we are presented with a perfectly corrected label when seen in Front View. This completes the iC3D training video, Shrink and Shrink Undistort.